For as long as anyone can remember, the media didn't just report politics, they shaped it. News anchors decided what was newsworthy, often ignoring stories that didn't fit their narrative. Newspaper columnists fed us opinions. Politicians, to be successful, found they needed to cultivate the media in order to get a fair hearing. Conservatives were demonized. When digital media first emerged 20 years ago, I wrote a book about how this might change. Rather than being spoon-fed our opinions by an Ivy League elite, we might, I thought, see a democratization of opinion forming. Tragically, big tech spent most of the past decade colluding with government and the old media to clamp down on the digital revolution. Algorithms were programmed to suppress wrong opinions. Twitter banned people for saying there were only 2 genders. They even took down the account of a sitting US president. Facebook closed the accounts of people who questioned the effectiveness of COVID lockdowns. Rather than dispersing knowledge, for a while it looked as if bad actors would be able to use digital tech to centralize control, China style. Then Elon Musk bought Twitter, or X, and fired the leftist activists that had been censoring it. This is perhaps the most significant political event in decades, even if few yet realize it. Twitter, or X, I should say, is now the #1 news platform in most Western countries and growing rapidly. Able to host video and live broadcasts, Twitter is forcing other dishonest digital platforms to change their ways or lose audience share. YouTube no longer feels quite so hostile to conservative views. We saw the immediate impact of this during the recent US presidential election. The legacy media and corrupt digital platforms couldn't suppress and misrepresent the way they used to. Attempts to distort what Trump or J.D. Vance had or hadn't said no longer worked. Instead of relying on brazenly partisan news anchors to cross-question candidates, candidates could go on long-form shows like Joe Rogan and set out in detail their stance. Over 50 million people watched Trump on Rogan alone. For decades, politicians have been able to get away with speaking in meaningless soundbites. Talking in soundbites no longer pays when you're doing a deep dive interview on a podcast. Team Trump understood this. Long-form podcasts were a key part of their election strategy. Kamala Harris never engaged to the same extent, and she came second. At the Mississippi Center for Public Policy, we like to think we've been ahead of the curve on this. While we don't have the resources of a Rogan or a Patrick Bet-David, we do produce a weekly video and podcast in our humble studio, which gets tens of thousands of views a month. So far this year, what MCPP's posted online has been seen by millions. YouTube 200,000 plus, Twitter 22 million plus, and that doesn't include content we produce hosted by other platforms like PragerU and others. The counter-reformation by the tech elite has failed. As Elon Musk says, we are the media now. Opinion forming really is being democratized. Conservative think tanks have an unprecedented opportunity to win the battle of ideas. 2025 is going to be awesome.